You're listening to the Screaming Pods Network.
A movie so terrible to women, it could be a Trump Supreme Court nominee. Jamie,
yeah,
let's go watch Creepshow.
And welcome to another episode of Good Times, Great Movies. We are an 80s movies podcast, so every couple of weeks we get together here and we just watch some movie from the 1980s that perhaps we've enjoyed before, perhaps you've enjoyed before, but we're enjoying now. I am one of your podcast hosts. I am Jamie Lorello. The other podcast host is a DP McCambridge.
That's right.
Hey there. We're in our October month. We've begun October.
Yes.
Really my favorite time of year. For me, it's not something I didn't watch these type of movies growing up.
Sure.
I just, whether I was afraid or very restricted by my strict parents, I didn't. I just didn't. Sorry,
I'm imagining your parents being super strict about what movies you watch.
Well,
it's like, Jamie, it's Goodfellas or nothing. That's it.
It's true. We watched a lot of mob movies, but not so much the horror. But boy, am I glad for this podcast.
All right. Well, I am very excited too. You know how I feel about these movies,
yeah.
And really, since we watched Silver Bullet, I have now seen every Stephen King movie made in the 80s.
Ah.
Yeah. That's why we did it. That was the only one I hadn't seen. So
and that filled that gap for you.
Complete. I mean, it's a little anticlimactic because I had already seen Creepshow several times.
Oh, yeah.
And we'll get into the next one we're going to do, but of course I've seen that one too. Like I knew I would see whatever we were going to watch this month.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that it's not exciting.
Of course.
All right, let's get to just a couple things off the top because I was on a couple of podcasts recently. Now, the first one I was on, it already aired. They probably put out an episode since then, but because we go every other week, sometimes stuff like this happens.
Mm-hmm.
The podcast was called So I Married a Movie Geek, and they did a movie draft. This is tough to explain. I don't know how interested people would be in me explaining this. But it was a movie draft of 1982.
Like
so there
a
were
movie draft? Oh, like you would do like a football team draft?
Yes, exactly. A football team draft. You're right. You're really into fantasy football, aren't you? I could tell just by the way you said that. So there was a draft order picked, and then you would choose movies.
Uh-huh.
And then everybody on Twitter would then vote on who won,
and
that person would come back to do 1987. I didn't win.
Oh.
I thought I should have won.
I'm sure your choices were brilliant.
And Jamie, to properly represent the podcast,
yeah.
First of all, I did pick Creepshow. I had to pick Creepshow.
Oh, yeah, it was in there. Yeah.
And I picked Annie.
You
took
did?
Annie. Of course I took Annie. Yes. I was like, Jamie's not here. I'm representing our podcast, so I'm taking Annie.
The sun does come out for you.
Mm-hmm.
Tomorrow, today, every day.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going back on that podcast to do 87, but, hopefully
but who's to say that it was Annie that ruined that chance for you?
Oh, I'm not going to say that at all. No.
Oh. Okay.
No, not at all. And also, if anybody did listen to the episode, or if you're interested in listening, I was so embarrassed. I showed up a half hour late to the recording because I fell asleep on my couch.
Oh. Did you tell them that?
Yeah, I had to.
Okay.
As I got on Skype and stuff, I was like, what can the excuse be? And I couldn't think of anything.
So you're just
that
like,
was
guys,
reasonable.
I was snoozing.
I was just like, I just fell asleep.
I teach law, so
right,
I don't
yeah,
get
it was
a lot
a
of
long
rest.
day at the Doug McCambridge School of Law, and I got like this sudden, like, not necessarily flashback, but this
Visual?
yeah, like a visual of what it would be like if you still lived in California, because that was the thing. We couldn't record until 11 p.m. my time.
Yeah.
And around, like 10:30, I looked at the clock and I went, oh, I still have so much time. I don't even have to get on Skype yet. And then I looked and it was an hour later.
And you were drooling on yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
wow.
Anyway, but it was fun. It was fun to go on, take a listen to the episode.
Sounds like a fun one, yeah.
Yeah. And last night I recorded for a podcast. This hasn't gone up yet.
Okay.
But the show is called Jay and Silent Bob Minute.
Oh.
And it's a couple of guys who go through all of Kevin Smith's movies that Jay and Silent Bob are in a minute at a time.
Oh, that's very quickly.
No. No, what I mean is each episode only covers a minute of the movie.
Oh.
Yes. So I was on for their Clerks episode for a couple minutes, and then I was asked back, and this one was for Not Chasing Amy. What was the one in between? Mallrats.
Mallrats.
Yes.
Ah, yes. That was a good one. I do like Mallrats.
I don't like Mallrats, but I went on because they asked me to come on, and I said, as long as I can do some Shannon Doherty minutes, I'm in.
You're in it.
They gave me a Shannon Doherty block, and I was super happy to talk to them about it.
Aw, for any time you get to talk about a little SD, that's wonderful times for you. Well, this is wonderful. You've been busy.
Very busy out there, out there promoting the show.
Doing it.
Doing what I can. Oh, and speaking of promoting the show, guys, the people out there, our Patreon is one patron away from reaching a patron away from reaching our stretch goal.
What?
And what
now
that
the stretch goal means?
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No,
because I don't know. No, I want to know.
Okay. I wanted to hear you explain this. Stretch goal means that Jamie and I are just going to stretch a bit before every episode, and we'll record that and release it to the patrons.
I'll be doing the first part of the episode in Downward Dog. That's what that means. It's the stretch goal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, the stretch goal is that once we reach our stretch goal, which, again, we're one patron away from that, we will then record more bonus episodes for patrons only.
In stretchy pants.
I don't think they're yoga pants. Is that what they're called? I don't know. Stretchy pants.
Spandex.
In spandex pants.
I'm sorry. Take that away.
I don't know. Whatever. It's more episodes for patrons. So I'm just saying that it's not as though we're doing stuff for everybody that's hearing this now. It's for patrons only. So help us reach that stretch goal.
Yeah, you could be that patron that makes it so that all the patrons get an extra episode.
And if you're one of those people donating at the $1 level, which is fine, we love it.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily get anything for that. That sounds terrible. But if you jump up to the $5 level, suddenly we've reached our stretch goal, and you get all those back bonus episodes, all the uncut episodes, and now the new bonus episodes that we're going to add on.
That's worth it.
So
that's a high five is what that is.
Yes. And as I said last time, it's worth it for the Silver Bullet episode alone.
Yeah, I mean.
It really is.
Oh my God. I get flushed and I smile just thinking about that episode.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes editing these episodes is a chore, but I had such joy. There was a smile on my face listening to that back.
Oh, it's so good.
So, yeah, so you're not, I mean, not yet. We may get to a movie in the future, but for right now, patrons only get that Gary Busey impression.
It was pretty good. It was really good. Yeah.
Yeah. And just the joy of talking about that werewolf that kind of looked like a stuffed bear.
Well, we have something similar in this.
Well, yeah, that
crate monster?
It looked better. Listen, it looked better than that werewolf.
It did look better than the werewolf, but it didn't look.
It didn't look great. It was a guy in a monkey outfit.
Well,
it didn't look great.
Do you remember in Harry and the Hendersons when The one guy was drawing Harry like a scary Harry, not friendly Harry.
You think that guy was watching Creepshow the night before?
I think so.
Who drew that? I think it was just his dad, right? Wasn't it John
No.
Lithgow's dad just made it scary looking? Oh, no, John Lithgow drew it as a scary.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
All right. All right, let's move on. Let's get into our
do
episode because I don't think there's anything else to talk about.
Nothing
and
else?
we've been doing this for nearly 18 minutes now.
It's all right. We had some stuff we had to get out there.
I'm excited. I just want to talk about this. I just want to Creepshow it up.
Let's
so it
do
is
it.
Creepshow from '82. It's our first George Romero movie we're covering. And it's, of course, written by Stephen King.
S. King. This was his first screenplay and his acting debut, actually, which we'll get to, which was a really fun vignette.
It was fun. Like, it was... And he does cameos in all of his movies, which can be aggravating. We already saw him in Silver Bullet. And we saw him in Maximum Overdrive getting cursed at by an ATM machine.
Yeah.
But in this, I think he's better than either of those other roles.
I agree. He does a really fine job in this.
He has that is a
it's
one-man
a little
show
goofy.
he's doing.
Oh yeah, it's just him and a lot of moss.
That accent, yeah,
and the cross-eyed things that he does.
Right. I mean, he is playing a cartoon character.
Yeah.
But he's playing a cartoon character really well.
It makes it fun. Yeah, he makes it fun for sure. But before we get to that, so it's Creepshow. I had never seen it. Now, is it... Now, this is going to make me sound maybe dumb. But is this related at all to Tales of the Crypt? Kind of loosely in this fact that they're both kind of based off of similar comic books? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
And it's also like one of the stories that was going to... Because there was then a Creepshow 2.
Yeah, there's more of these.
One of the stories that was going to go in that was then used for... there was a Tales from the Dark Side movie. Did you watch that Tales from the Dark Side TV show? Probably not.
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah, but all of these sort of anthology movies and TV shows, they're all related and they're all based on these comics that, like Stephen King read.
50s,
when
right?
he was,
Yeah.
like in the 50s and early 60s.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
And some of these, I didn't look into which one of them were based on stories he'd written and which other ones he wrote specifically for the movie. Because I think I want to say half and half, but there's 5 stories, so I know that that's not the case.
Okay.
I know the Crate Monster one was from a story. I remember reading that in one of his short story collections.
Okay.
But I'm not sure about any of the other ones.
Okay. All right. Well, those were loose facts, but I'll take them.
Oh, yeah. It's pretty much my law class. So anyway, before we even start this, I love it because the opening of this with that kid and Tom Atkins as his angry drunken father who
just
hates
talking about
comic books.
crap and shit and freaking like this is just crap. What's up with this shit? I don't want you reading this crap. Freaking crap is what it is. You freaking
There
smart
is
mouth.
so much throughout this movie. Anytime somebody's cursing, it's crap, shit,
Yeah.
goddamn. That is it. You don't get any F-bombs,
No.
I don't think at all.
No.
But this man is so angry.
Oh, yeah.
He is the worst father I've ever seen.
No, he's
and
terrible.
that doormat of a wife of his, too?
Oh, man.
She's just cowering in the corner going,
Yeah.
don't you think maybe you were just... maybe just a little
Well,
bit?
he smacks the son. You see the handprint on his face.
Oh, P.S. Stephen King's kid.
Oh, is it?
Yes.
The little boy? Oh,
Yes.
I kind of see that now that I think of it that way.
Hey, son, let me introduce you to Tom Atkins. He's going to scream at you for 5 minutes straight and then slap you around a little bit.
It'll be fine, though. It'll be fine. Because later you're going to voodoo doll him.
Yeah. I imagine another actor was hired for this and he was traumatized. And Stephen King's like, I don't know, let's just get my kid
I got
to
a
do it.
kid.
It's all right.
It's fine. He's got a bowl haircut. It'll work.
So he throws this comic book away. He's so mad at a comic
Yeah,
book.
this is just the worst thing that he could find in the kid's room. Now the kid has posters of of horror movies and
just
stuff
horror
hanging
movies.
in his room. This should be no surprise that he's reading these crappy comic books.
But do you think this dad ever walks into this kid's room to speak to him or to do anything? No. As far as he's concerned, he doesn't have a son.
No.
And I was waiting for some line like, I know he's your stepson, which would make it, I'm not saying make it all right.
Make it a little more comfortable for the rest of us. Yeah.
In the end, when this kid's basically murdering his own father, I wanted it to be a stepdad situation.
And he's no more than 10. If he's that.
Oh, no, he's a really young kid. Yes.
Yeah, he's probably more like 8. But
Yeah.
he has so much rage in him about his father. But his father, as a jerk, like, what does he say? He tells the wife, well, that's why God made fathers. When she's like, oh, why did you have to do that and squelch his little spirit for? And they're just comic books. And he was like, I'm keeping this boy in line while he drinks this, like, 40-ounce can of beer and settles into his Archie Bunker chair.
I hope that the mom gets together with one of those garbage men at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
That they're so into comics, they love it.
Yeah.
I hope that's his new dad.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, and also at the end of this little scene, the kid is then visited by like a friendly skeleton who shows up at his window. And the skeleton guy, like, he's there as a bad skeleton. It looks like,
it's terrible.
something in the window of any Halloween store at the season. And then it transforms into an illustration. And then we're in the comic world. And we, like, the whole thing is that you watch this comic book that the kid has. And the pages turn to get us into all these stories.
Really fun. It's a nice, fun way to kind of segue from one to the other. So that one sort of fades us into our first story, which is
Father's Day.
So, who's our actor here? Who's our Hank?
Ed Harris?
Ed Harris, a very young, not hairy, but he's got a full head of hair, Ed Harris.
Yeah, I mean, you can see that he won't have it soon,
No,
but he's still
but
got
it's
it
there.
now. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And the way he lights matches to it, which is his
my God.
thing in this movie.
Off of walls, off of gravestones.
At one point, he
like
lights it, and he's got it backwards, like sticking out of the back of his fingers, and he's like awkwardly turning to light his cigarette.
He lights the same cigarette, I feel like several times. Like, he can't.
Yeah, I mean, I think he walks through that graveyard for 10 minutes, and he conservatively smokes 5 cigarettes in that time.
Yeah.
Because he lights them off of every tombstone he passes.
Yeah. My favorite was when he was standing outside, and he just, like, puts his arm behind him and swipes, setting right off the building, right off the house.
That's my favorite match light.
Yes.
But my favorite is, I think I could watch Ed Harris dance to disco music all day long.
Dance? Like, first of all, what? Why?
And he does
why
that
are they
move where he,
dancing?
like, sticks his hand over his head, like...
I like later when he's lighting all his cigarettes, and she's just dancing by herself. She doesn't care that nobody's there.
She's still having a great time. It's 20 minutes later, that same song is still playing. It's like on a loop.
So there's this family gathered. Ed Harris is there, but he's not really. He's a married in member. Or is he the husband? Right?
He's married. Yeah, he's married in. There's these 2 siblings, both horrible people.
Oh yeah.
And their mom, a horrible person, and they're waiting on their aunt, a horrible person.
Yes.
To celebrate Father's Day of their father, who was an equally horrible person.
Bad man. He was but he was wealthy and allowed them to live in this this mansion that they're living in.
Yeah.
On the grounds of a graveyard, apparently.
Yeah.
Must be a family graveyard. Yeah.
They're waiting for an actress who appears to be in old age makeup and a wig, because I was like, oh, I guess there might be a flashback of when she's younger. No. I think they just hired a young actress and went, I don't know, let's just slop goop on your face, and now suddenly you're old. Because that wig looked terrible.
Yeah, it didn't look good. It looked like it had been matted in the back of the closet, and then they were like, put this on your head. I thought, because she was in the car driving, and for a second I was like, is that Carole King? Not that she's any relation to Stephen King, but I don't know why I thought it was Carole King, but I did.
He was just like, we need a king in every story. I got my kid in the first one. I'm in the second. I'm in the third one. We got to put Carole King in this.
I feel like
give me a phone book.
Give me a phone book. I'll find the next one. Right. I love it.
I know the locals in Pittsburgh, because this whole thing was shot.
That's what I read. All of it filmed in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I don't think George Romero goes outside of Pittsburgh, except for the beach stuff that was at the Jersey Shore.
Oh.
Yeah. Their mother the two terrible siblings' mother dumps exposition
Yes.
and talks to Ed Harris about how her sister eventually just sort of
Bedelia.
had enough, yes, of their terrible father, who just on Father's Day he just sat at that table and yelled, "Where's my cake?" Just like with his cane, just rapping it against the table, screaming.
He was so angry with. Well, no. Before that happened, Bedelia was. They tell you this part of the story, but I wish they had showed you. She, I guess, had fallen in love with a man. They call it some kind of romance. I didn't know what they meant. Like, was he a younger man or an older man? He was a much younger.
They just said a month, and I've never heard it just referred to as a October. I've never heard that. Like, I've heard of a
May, December,
right,
Yeah.
Or like a spring autumn thing or something like that. Right.
Yeah, that's why I was confused.
They just said the word October.
They said, yeah. But I guess the father disapproved, and did he just push that guy away, or did he?
No, he shot him.
He shot
him. It looked like they were on safari. Like, it looked like they were in the bayou or something. I know it's not safari, but it didn't look like it happened outside of this house. No, but we don't. Because there was like swampland and stuff.
Yeah.
So,
although that graveyard's pretty foggy.
Oh, extremely foggy. Yeah. Not quite as foggy as in Silver Bullet Guy's Patreon, but it was pretty foggy.
Yeah.
So this woman tells Ed Harris that, yes, their father killed this woman's, I don't know, husband-to-be or whatever.
Boyfriend, love of her life.
Yeah.
And then
she was very angry, had enough, finally killed him with the ashtray that Ed Harris happens to be using at the moment.
Yep.
And then she comes back once a year on Father's Day.
Yeah, to have a ham dinner.
She goes out, meditates. I think they say meditates.
Yeah, she meditates on the grave.
Over his grave.
Yeah, which means she just drinks over his grave. Yeah.
And then this family, throughout this movie, there's a lot of ladies drinking.
Oh, yeah, and just straight from the bottle sometimes. Not even needing a glass.
Because she drives up, and I think she's drinking out of the bottle in the car.
And she's smoking a little cigarello there. She's got her little cigar. Hello.
I do love in the flashback when he's yelling for his cake, and she's decorating it, but just squeezing a pile of icing.
And it's just kind of gerbing out there.
And the rest of it looks pretty nice. I was like, "Whoa, she did those flowers. That looks great.
Great looking pot of cake, right?"
Yeah.
But he's like you said, he's banging his cane on the chair. Where's my cake? Oh, he seems like a shithead of a man.
Yeah.
And
so this old lady wanders back into, I guess, the family graveyard, and she rips some flowers off of a vine, pulls out, I guess last year's flowers are still in this little flower holder.
Yeah.
She puts them in. She makes herself comfortable right on that ground. Like, she's just going to be hanging out there
Well,
for a
she
while.
has a nice little conversation with him.
Yeah, and it's weird because she wavers between, being happy that she murdered him to kind of genuinely feeling bad about it.
Well, she's a killer now of her own father.
Right.
What kind of guilt does that give you, even if the man was a jerk, right?
Right. No, I understand that. I guess if you kill family, that's pretty bad.
Yeah.
And I love how his gravestone has the dates in Roman numerals, too. I've never seen that.
This is a classy family. So, now, I think in the retelling, Bedelia's sister says how, like, legally, Bedelia was never, like, it was covered up for. That's why Bedelia never spent any jail time for the father's death. I think even in Bedelia's little drunken, monologue to the grave, she says something, too, about the fact that, like, they covered up for the fact that she killed him.
And that's good. I didn't hear that, but I'm glad she said that, because my thought was, why is this guy murdering everyone? Like,
oh, yeah.
The first person, and we'll get to it in a second, the first person he kills is his daughter who killed him.
Yeah.
But he needs to kill everyone. Even that poor maid. I felt so bad for that maid. But then I thought, maybe the maid covered it up too.
Yeah.
Like, you saw what this guy was like. The maid had probably had enough of this.
Yeah, I know. The maid was over it too. She knew.
Right.
She knew. She was going to take the ashtray to him if Bedelia didn't. What happens while Bedelia is having... Because now, again, I've never seen this movie before.
Sure.
And I was watching this movie, and I was alone. My husband was out of town.
Oh, okay.
So,
perfect way to watch it.
Exactly. And all of a sudden, this ridiculously muddy skeleton pops out of the grave.
He's not even a skeleton. He's like half decomposed, which makes it seem like he died a year ago.
Yeah.
He should just be a skeleton.
No, but you're right. He does have like what would you say that's on him? He looked like dirt. He looked like
Right. Yeah, I mean, he looked like some sort of zombie that was more skeleton than zombie, but there's probably bits of flesh in there. But of course, he did just pop out of the ground, so yeah, he's covered in dirt.
And he leaps out at her.
He leaps out.
And still asking for the cake. Well, that's the crazy thing, because later on, too, when Ted Danson's the dead one, and what do they do to their mouths to make their mouths look like dead people?
I don't know. It looked like collagen injections.
Yeah.
It looked pretty gross. But he gets out of the grave and he murders his daughter who killed him. The old lady in the bad wig. So at this time, Ed Harris he's had enough disco dancing. He's done. He's gonna head outside. Did you see his belt buckle? It is enormous.
No, I missed it. I don't know how.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So he goes out.
I think it was admiring his hair.
And he decides to just go check on this old lady that they're waiting for.
Yeah.
They're waiting to eat. It's dark now.
Well, and
she's killed during the day.
In the beginning of the story, they mentioned that she'll be there at 6. She always comes at 6.
Yes.
It's part of her ritual of when she does this Father's Day tradition. She'll be there at 6. And then they mention when 6 o'clock passes, well, she's kind of a flake, so we don't really know. And then they do start to get a little bit, concerned. Well, I hope she's okay. So, yes.
He's not even really sent out to look for her.
No, he just decides
he
that
just
he's
goes
going
out.
to. Yeah. Because, like you said, he's had enough dancing for the night.
Right. So he wanders into this graveyard, and like we said, he's smoking a ton and lighting them off of all the headstones.
Yeah.
And does he just fall into this open grave?
No, he finds the bottle first. First he sees the bottle, and he's going to take a sip from her bottle, because she had a bottle of whiskey there.
Yeah.
And first he goes to get the bottle, then he falls inside the grave.
Right. He falls into this open grave that I guess the monster climbed out of.
And then... Why does he just look at the stone moving slowly?
Well, he lays there for a second.
Yeah.
Why, I don't know. But he watches as this enormous tombstone, shimmies its way forward. And then I was like, oh, the monster's behind it pushing. Nope. Because the monster's in front of him.
Yeah.
And then the headstone falls down and crushes poor, kind of innocent, the most innocent person in this movie.
Yeah, what did he do, right? What did he do? He
just came to dinner.
Before he sees the dad, the monster, he also turns around and Bedelia's body is right there, too.
Right, yes, he does notice her dead body.
Yeah, and then he's crushed and...
Yes.
That's it.
So the aunt,
as he forges on... The monster. He's still curious as to...
He still needs his cake.
My cake? Yeah.
Right.
He still needs his cake.
So the aunt, everybody's like, oh, what's going on? Where's Ed Harris now?
Yeah.
Where's our aunt? Blah, blah, blah. So the mother of these two terrible, terrible siblings. How many bottles of wine does that guy go through this night?
So many.
Oh, my God.
Many, yeah.
Yeah. So she goes into the kitchen to see what's going on with dinner or what. And
the kitchen's dark.
She sees some muddy footprints.
Yeah.
And she sees the dead maid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Her face coming through the
the pantry. Like she's in the pantry or something like that. Yes. So then the brother, we don't see her get killed, right?
The maid?
The aunt.
Oh.
The aunt.
No. We just see what happens to her corpse.
So the brother and the sister... Again, terrible. Are like, Mother, where are you? Then they walk in the back, and they're looking around. Again, lights don't work. It's very dark. And suddenly, these doors bust open, and their mom's severed head is on a tray, decorated like a cake with candles and everything. And their dead grandfather, I guess, is presenting this to them.
The cake to them.
Still yelling about his cake.
Still wants his hamburger.
And for people that have never seen any of these stories, like, there are great scenes. Whenever anything shocking happens, lights light up behind characters.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes with these two, there's like crazy lightning bolts behind them.
Yeah. It gets red, right? Like a crazy
red. Yeah,
red.
it's super comic booky and just like crazy vibrant colors, but it works. Like it really works to sort of, I know, make it seem like a comic book, but also it's pretty intense when these lights do show up.
It heightens the sort of intensity of everything happening.
And that is the end. We don't see these.
We don't know if they're going to die. Yeah, sure they do.
And then at the end of all of these stories, the frame that we freeze on
frames,
turns into a comic book panel.
So
and then
fun.
like we flip a couple pages and then we're into the next story.
This one might be my second favorite. The Lonesome Death of Geordie. Geordie Virgil, right? What kind of name is that?
Geordie Virgil. Oh, yeah. Yes. It's not a great name. And so we open with Stephen King
in overalls
with these big, goofy buck teeth and overalls,
and doing a cross-eyed look.
Oh, yeah, he does cross eyes throughout this as though it is a medical condition of this character. And we're right into it, too. That's what I love. My God, 2 hours, 5 stories. There is no time to waste.
And there is
because he watches like a meteor go right past him. I've never seen a meteor get this close to a human being, but it does. And then it crashes on his property.
Right. On his little farmhouse property. He's got this tiny shack.
Yep. And the first thing he does after poking it with a knife is touch it with his bare hands. And it is glowing and has weird holes in it. And you don't touch it.
It just fell from the sky and made a big hole in the ground.
Yes. He gets shocked like it's a hand buzzer. Or like a hand buzzer noise happens.
Well, it's clearly going to burn him or hurt him or not, right? Not a good idea to touch. And his fingers kind of blister right away because, again, why would you touch it?
And this is the first of 2 stories in this that I really love because of these weird fantasy sequences. I think I loved his fantasy sequences even better than the crate one.
So he thinks...
Because his are just the thinkings of a simpleton. Yeah. It's so great.
Yeah. I mean, he's found a meteor, and so he feels like, or if he could take this down to the local Department of Meteors...
No, the college.
Oh,
the college. He does mention the college.
Okay.
I bet the college would pay a pretty penny for this.
Yeah. He's going to bring his findings to this college, and they're going to just, first of all, colleges, I don't know, you work at one, do you just have a little, like, a little box, a little safety box of cash on you in case somebody brings something
all the
cool
time.
down? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I use it for my law class all the time.
Okay, of course you would.
Like, this is called petty cash.
Yeah.
This is what I use to pay for meteor fines.
So he thinks first that they're going to offer him $200.
$200 for this. And he's going to pay off that bank loan, too. Like, what did you borrow? $50 from the bank?
I don't know. But it's going to leave him in great shape.
Right.
He could just sell it. But, so he's out of that little fantasy, and he's got his blisters on his fingers, so he pours, is it when he pours water on those blisters, right?
It's so gross because these 2 fingers that got shocked that he's constantly shoving in his mouth. He looks at them and they're all gross and bumpy.
Yeah. Oh.
And yet he just sticks them right back in his mouth. This is when he throws water on the meteor to cool it off.
Yes.
And it breaks in half.
You shouldn't do that. And now he's like, what am I going to do? It's a broken meteor.
And he goes back to the fantasy where they offer him considerably less.
Wasn't it?
And he has to take it.
Yeah. Because he broke the meteor.
And also, after this breaks, it's filled with blue goo that he just dumps out. He's like, I guess this isn't important.
No, he doesn't question perhaps the sensitivity of this thing that fell from the sky. He sucks his fingers a lot. He drinks beer. And he watches wrestling. I mean, sounds like Hazleton, PA to me.
Coming back to Silver Bullet, he's as excited about wrestling as that horrible character in that movie was. And he's drinking out of this strange giant bottle. What is he drinking out of that?
Oh, yeah. What about later when he mixes himself a drink and he what is that,
I love
Tang?
that scene too, because he's looking around, freaked out of his mind. He goes, here it is. And I thought it was some sort of pesticide. Nope, it's just vodka. He's so happy he found it.
Well, because he's getting a little panicky now, because he realizes. Right, yes. So first, his fingers are a little bit green, right? A little green,
it's like mossy. Yeah.
And he does have another sort of vision here where he goes to the doctor, and the doctor's going to have to take a cleaver to his fingers to remove them.
He's about to call the doctor, and this fantasy's great because the doctor is sharpening this cleaver going, oh, you know what? This is going to hurt a lot. This is really going to
hurt, yeah.
And then did you notice in this fantasy, the doctor's sitting on a chair with wheels and just wheels around through this without, like, doing it himself? The chair just moves him around his office.
Did it?
It's pretty funny. Oh, and then he walks into, because he realized he's had his fingers in his mouth, so he walks into his bathroom, and he's got the tiniest mirror I've ever seen over his sink. It's
and everything's
so little.
Filthy. Everything is just filthy, yeah.
And he sticks out his tongue, and there's green on the tip of his tongue.
It's going down.
And we see that it's starting to spread to everything that he's has touched. Like,
right. It's on his chair.
His overalls, his chair, the TV. We do get some exterior shots, and we see that it's on the exterior
growing,
of his house.
It's growing around the home. Yes. It gets real gnarly.
This is when I wrote, he decides that a white Russian might kill it, because I think it is just a cup of milk that he dumps vodka into.
Was it milk? I thought it was like Tang. It was milk. Oh, maybe.
I don't know. It was gross. Whatever it was disgusting.
Yeah. But maybe he thought that was going to solve it, or at least calm his nerves because he realizes what's
or
happening.
He's just trying to get hammered.
Yeah.
I love when his hands are fully covered by this green stuff. It just looks like he's wearing green oven mitts around.
Like Oscar the Grouch oven mitts or something. Yeah. That's what it looks like. It's like a fuzzy...
And the drink does do the trick in that he passes out for a little bit.
But when he wakes up, he's like fully... mossed
he looks like
out.
A green Sasquatch.
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of fun though. I loved it. I was like, because he's got his beard and his hair, and he's even got chest moss hanging out.
And again, I mean, the makeup and stuff, the effects were done. They're all practical. They were done by Tom Savini, so it looks good throughout this movie.
Sure,
like, all of the makeup looks pretty great.
It's fun.
And if it doesn't look great, you can just say, it's a comic book, it's supposed to look silly. So, they cover their bases with that.
I love it when when he wakes up, he goes to the bathroom, he looks, he sees that his face is covered, he looks in his pants and he goes, no, not there too.
Right.
And he realizes...
Why does a vision of his father appear to him in this tiny bathroom mirror again?
He decides he's going to run a bath.
Yes.
Because maybe to calm himself down, maybe he thinks the bath will help wash it off. And his father appears in the mirror and tells him that that's a bad idea, that the water's only going to make the moss grow. I don't know why we have the father.
I don't either. I remember watching this for the first time and thinking this, because I keep thinking it every time I see this, is the first time I saw this, I thought, because he threw the water on the meteor and it broke, I thought that water was bad for this. So somehow this alien stuff was like sending a vision of his father to him so he didn't jump in the bath. But it's the opposite. We find out at the end that this stuff loves water and rain.
Yeah.
So he jumps in the tub. I do like how he jumps in the tub and we just get an exterior shot and just hear him like, that's the stuff. So then it is morning and
it's everywhere.
Did you listen to this TV? Did you listen to what's going on this TV as we go through this house? Because he's got on like the farm channel.
Oh,
because they're talking about stocks, but it's all farm related stocks.
Yeah. Because he's a farmer, clearly.
Sure. No, I understand.
That's hence the overalls.
Right.
We didn't see him tending to any crops or anything.
No. So now he's a full moss man, kind of slumped in the corner of this house.
Yeah.
He kind of just looks like a little green hill. Like, he barely looks like a human anymore.
Right. Because it's taken over.
He does talk like the zombie who wanted his cake.
Yeah.
And he's saying stuff. I didn't have the captions on. I didn't know what he was really saying for the most part. But he picks up a shotgun and shoots himself in the head. Just blows that mossy
what are
head
you gonna
right
do?
apart.
What are you going to do?
No, of course. And I feel bad for him. Like, he was a sympathetic character, and I don't know. I felt bad for him. And I mean, it was right after a short where you weren't supposed to feel bad for any character.
Right, where they were all
I'm
jerks.
sure that helped, yes. And at the end, we see his property, like his entire house is covered. His fields are covered. And then we see that it's moved beyond his property, out into the road.
It's coming to take over. Yeah.
And that's when we get the weather report that there's going to be a lot of rain pretty soon. So I guess that's it. I guess we're all going to die by turning into mossy people.
That would be a fun way to go to me. I mean, I'm a nature girl myself.
I'm just wondering, would you go that way? Like, or would you just be a moss person then? Like, could you just walk around?
I think I would just embrace the moss that was me.
I'd kind of wait it out. Like, it's not like
Maybe it's painful. Maybe it hurts.
Oh, maybe it does. But he doesn't say anything like that.
No.
Well, anyway, poor Geordie Virgil is dead, and we're moving on to a new story now.
Oh.
Called Something to Tide You Over.
Oh, so good. So good. I'm just going to say it right now. This one was my favorite, not just for the two actors in it.
No, this is my favorite too.
What a fun, creepy little tale to tell, too.
It's
like,
great.
what a... And Leslie Nielsen, who is hilarious, does a great job of playing like a psychopath. And young Ted Danson is so afraid. So afraid.
Yeah, Leslie Nielsen used to be in the 50s and 60s and 70s, like a pretty serious actor. And then once he did Airplane, I think that was 1980.
Was it? Yeah.
Like then, once he did Airplane, he was just, he was off and running with that stuff with Naked Gun, and that's who he was.
Sure.
So it was nice to see that after Airplane and before Naked Gun, he did this where he could just play a total creep, and you could buy him as such.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't look at him, and I never thought like, oh, there's silly Leslie Nielsen. I was like, this guy's a creep and a half.
Yeah, exactly. He's mean as fuck.
At the beginning of this story, we are introduced to Ted Danson when Leslie Nielsen knocks on his door and confronts him.
Yes.
That Ted Danson and his wife have been having an affair.
Yes. Ted Danson owns a lot of plants, which I didn't know.
My God, yes.
Yes. And then later, actually, in Leslie Nielsen's apartment, there's a lot of TVs and cameras, but there's a lot of plants.
Yes. It was like, after that Stephen King story, really? We're just going to be drowned in plants again? I like how Ted Danson just happens to throw in, I can bench press over 300 pounds in his conversation.
But he does nothing with that, because if he's that strong, he could have fought his way out of that sand, maybe. I don't know.
Leslie Nielsen is an older fellow who I understand for most of the movies holding him at gunpoint, but also is really close to him at this point. Ted Danson could have ripped that gun right out of his hands quite easily.
He was not brave at all, Ted Danson. He was like, he would fight a little bit. No, I'm not going to do it. And then he's just like, all right, fine, I'll jump in the hole. Like, don't jump in the hole, Ted Danson. That's just... I
love how Leslie Nielsen's kind of just into TVs. Like, that's his thing.
Yeah.
Even, it comes to nothing, but even when he's in his apartment, he's like, oh, yeah, I can't believe you get good reception on these things with this wires this way. You should really get this fixed.
Yeah.
Leslie Nielsen, during this confrontation, Ted Danson's like, come on, she just wants out. She doesn't want, half your stuff. She just wants to be free. Give her a divorce, whatever. Leslie Nielsen's not going to do this.
No, he convinces him to take a ride with him.
Yes, because he plays him a tape recording.
Oh, that's right, of her.
Sounding so distressed and calling for Ted Danson, like, help me, help me, help me.
Yeah.
And that's when he pulls out a gun. He's like, whoop, don't punch me because you'll never find out where she is.
Right. I've got to get you some answers, and I will let you see her again if you come with me, I think is what he says, right? Or maybe later on is when he says, if you do this, I'll let you see her again.
He drives him out to the beach in a Jeep. They're just driving on the sand. That's cool because it's his own
private beach. Imagine that.
I like it when he calls Ted Danson her knight in shining corduroy. Because those brown pants that he's wearing, just out of bell bottoms, just barely passable as not bell bottoms. And I think they're the same pants that Ed Harris is wearing at the beginning of this, too.
Could be.
He takes him down to the beach, again, at gunpoint, where a nice hole is dug, and he tells him to get in the hole. Just jump in the hole.
You're going in
there.
there.
Want to find out what happened to her? Jump in the hole.
Yep.
I have a gun. I could just shoot you anyway.
And first he kind of says no, but then he does do it because he's got a gun.
Then he asks him to just, now get down on your knees and just like pull all the sand in.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Ted Danson's like, what? And his response is, I just want to incapacitate you. I just want you to not be able to move.
And Ted Danson does start to do it again. There's a gun involved. He's not going to try to jump out of the hole and wrestle the gun away. So he's begrudgingly covering himself with sand.
Yes. And then it's like a smash cut to just his head above the sand and a crab right next to his face.
Yeah. And he's kind of freaking out that this crab might, I guess, pinch his face.
It does look kind of scary. Like, it does look like, Ted Danson. I mean, I know you're not the Ted Danson of Super Cheers fame yet, but boy, would a Ted Danson of now let somebody put a crab that close to his face during shooting? I don't think he would.
It looks like a puppet crab. What do you mean it looks like? I thought it looked like I thought it
looked like a real crab.
I didn't think it looked like a real crab. I've spent some time with real crabs.
Oh, really? Okay. Right. Excellent. And also Leslie Nielsen went away at this point. He went to his house because he had to get the
TV and stuff.
With
he had
a
to
bunch
get the
of
equipment.
cable.
Mm-hmm.
Just a mile of cable and a TV and a tripod and a camera. So he's filming Ted Danson.
Yep. And he's
watching TV.
Does he finish burying Ted? I think does he finish or no? No, he's as buried as he's going to get.
Oh, this is when he fake buries him because he piles up sand. And he's like, I could just do this, and he pushes it into his face, and he's like, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And it is fun to watch Ted Danson, as we know Ted Danson is now, and as we know he's a big actor, and the super hilarious Leslie Nielsen. It's so funny to see Ted Danson buried up to his neck in the sand, and Leslie Nielsen like lying down next to him and just like taunting him and just being a jerk. It
is really fun, and his just Ted Danson's head sticking out of the sand is fun enough. And then you put a little. They probably buried him for this, right? I don't know. Like the shots of him on the beach are weird. Like he looks like he's buried in sand on a beach. Yeah, I think he is buried. He screams at some point, and that's when we realize that because Leslie Nielsen tells him it's a private beach, no one's going to hear you. You can scream as much as you want.
But I don't think you could do this. I think I watched an episode of Mythbusters where they did this, where they just put somebody in a big box and filled it with sand, and it starts to like compress your body. So I think it's too dangerous.
Maybe they put him in something, and then like maybe they
just in a big inflatable tube. They put him in one of those sumo fat suits, and they just dropped him in. And we're like, now the sand's not going to get to. No, I know what you're saying.
I'm thinking there's like a tube or something. Not a tube,
he could be in a box that's surrounded by sand.
And then they just buried his shoulders.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sure that's what they did.
I'm sure they kept him safe. They kept Ted safe.
Right. Yeah. They're not gonna endanger a national treasure like Ted Danson.
Why would they? How could they? Never.
Right. He hits play on this TV.
Oh boy!
And it's his wife in the same situation as Ted Danson, but the tide is rolling in, and we watch her get splashed. We watch her cry. It's not the worst thing that's happening to women in this movie. Well, it is because she dies, but like this movie's not great to women. It's start to finish. It's not good. But Ted Danson now, he sort of understands what's up. He understands that she is dead and his fate will be the same.
Yes. And now he's forced to, this is so evil. He's forced to watch this video of her dying and the water coming over. Leslie gives him some clue. Leslie's not his name. And is it Richard is his name? So Richard's kind of giving him some advice every now and then about not taking in too much air, right? Or
yeah, I mean, he's just screwing with him because later we see Ted Danson's in 8 feet of water at the end of this. You can't hold your breath through that.
That's a pretty cool, when he's under the water, inside of an aquarium, basically.
little fish going by. Yeah, it is. It's super
like,
fun.
And he's still trying to like hold his breath just right.
And then he just drives away. He's like, bye, see ya. And he just drives away. And Ted Danson's really upset. We get to see him getting splashed in the face with water, which is fun. And you're right. Then we go back to Leslie Nielsen's House of Plants.
Plants and TVs.
He's watching, I think at the same time, he's watching the video of his wife dying and the closed circuit TV of what's happening to Ted Danson right now. And Ted Danson like looks at the camera and is like, I'm going to get you.
Yeah.
I'm going to get you. Yeah. And then smash cut to fully submerged underwater, his hair sticking up.
Amazing.
He's blowing bubbles. It's pretty fun.
He goes back to the beach to get his equipment. And when he gets back, he realizes the body isn't there, but he kind of like brushes it off. He's like, "Oh, I'm sure the current pulled him out."
I'm sure he tells himself the current pulled him out at least 4 times.
Over and over again, right?
And I like that baby bucket, that tiny baby bucket that's there for no reason.
Well, it was interesting because when Ted Danson's getting buried, he kind of is looking at that bucket. That bucket's on the beach, and I wondered, like, how's that bucket going to help him?
Me too.
And I still don't know, because like you said, then again, the bucket, after his body is gone, or I don't know how the bucket helped him.
There's no reason to keep having shots of this bucket in this movie, but they
there.
must show it 27 times.
Yeah, they do.
But anyway, after that, he goes back to his house. It's nighttime now. He's lying on his bed in a green jogging suit.
Yeah.
It's so funny looking. It's like unbuttoned down to his navel too.
Yeah. He's watching one of his 6 TVs, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I love how he's looking through a bunch of tapes and he even says something like, "Oh, damn maid, moving my stuff again."
Yeah.
And my thought was, are these all murder tapes? Does he do this to a lot of people?
That's what I wondered too. Because he does, yeah. I wonder.
Then we get to see a long bathroom routine of him.
Yeah,
like,
he's getting ready for his shower.
Yeah. I mean, intercut with like fog and scary light in his house. But no, he's getting ready. He's taking a shower. He's like putting on cologne, brushing his teeth. It's just Leslie Nielsen in the bathroom for like
just
10
having
minutes.
just having his little routine happen, right?
Did you notice he's got a gigantic Buddha statue in his bedroom?
Yes, it's huge.
Jeez.
Yes. Only psychopaths do, you know.
Yeah,
I did
you just call him a psychopath as though he's like obsessed with motorcycles or he kills motorcycles?
He loves his... Yeah, I did.
So he finally goes out because he hears a bunch of stuff. And immediately he says, like, he's even yelling at Ted Danson. He's like, I still got the gun, man. I still got... Like, he must think that he got away or something.
Right.
But I thought he watched him on camera the whole time. Anyway, it doesn't matter. And then... Well, no, I guess not. And then the camera probably went out when the tide came in.
Right.
Anyway. So, of course, through his bedroom door burst zombie Ted Danson and zombie his wife.
The wife, yeah. All kind of seaweeded out with lots and lots of steam following them.
They're
lots
very
of fog.
seaweedy.
Yeah.
They're very, like, bloated, like waterlogged.
Yes.
He shoots them, but just like green goo falls out of them.
Oozes out of them, yeah. So they don't die. And now he's kind of getting freaked out, right? And they're telling him, come to the beach if you can hold your breath. Oh, yeah, because that's what he tells him before. You'll be okay if you can hold your breath for the right amount of time.
I love it because it's just this weird cutting with Leslie Nielsen with suddenly the comic book background, and he's just laughing like a lunatic.
Yeah,
and
because
then
he gets so scared.
He's buried on the beach. Like, I'm so glad we don't have to watch these zombies dig a hole and bring him down.
No.
Probably driving the Jeep or something. He's just in there.
Well, he goes, because I wonder, if he's just like you said, maybe all those videos, this is something he does. Yeah. He's like a murderer. And then he gets so scared. Even before he's nervous before he sees them. And then once he sees that these are these monsters and this like living dead coming for him, he is scared.
Yeah, because what are you going to do?
Right.
They're zombies.
Yeah.
They can't be killed.
But you got to love it because earlier you're thinking for Ted Danson, what's this guy going to do? He's got a gun. This is his beach. So it's a great turnaround of like events.
Oh, it's so much fun. And I love it. At the end of this, he just screams like, I can hold my breath for a long time.
Like a lunatic. Yeah.
It's so great.
Uh-huh.
And that's the end of that story.
Yep.
A nice revenge story, much like the first one. Mm-hmm. But at least this time, the people that are getting revenge were, I guess, good people. We don't know a lot about them, but I'm willing to bet that, Ted Danson's a pretty good guy.
You'll say it. I'll agree.
Yeah, sure. All right, good.
Yeah.
Great. He's one of my 3 dads we've established. So now we go to our 4th story called The Crate.
Dun, dun,
this is the longest story.
And at times long and confusing because there were definitely some details that didn't need to happen and some characters we meet that didn't need to be... what about the couple in the beginning of the party? Why do we have to meet them?
I thought they were going to become important. Yeah. I was like, oh, this young couple, I guess they'll come up again.
No.
Nope. Mm-mm. I was looking at this movie and I went, okay, a 2-hour running time.
Yeah.
After we went through our first 3 stories and the beginning, I was like, wait, we still have an entire hour left.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I was like, what? Do they do some kind of recap then? Yeah.
And the last episode is pretty short too, so it is all this crate.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not going to lie, this started to lose me a little bit.
Okay.
I still really enjoyed it because I love how mocky the wife was, and I love how cheesy the little werewolf vampire thing was, or animal creature.
Adrienne Barbeau as his wife is fantastic.
Oh,
She's amazing in this.
Yeah.
I love how she is, I think, drunk from morning till night.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it later on when they were just at a party and she was hammered and she's like, I'm going to go to my classes. I don't know what classes she's going to, but she comes back, gets out of the car and is wasted.
But she's got a glass of milk.
And then she brings the drink she made at home to the college.
Yes.
She's walking down those steps.
She's got it in her hand. Yep, I noticed that. No, she's
so much fun.
She is fabulous. And there's some kind of faculty party happening, I guess.
Yeah. Well, first let's say we're introduced at first to a janitor.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Who flips a coin and it rolls under the stairs. Mm-hmm. And he sees that there's a crate down there. Mm-hmm. So now we get to this college faculty party,
mm-hmm.
I guess the beginning of the semester party. I don't know. The college I work at might do this. I don't know.
They don't invite you.
That's how involved I am. They just don't want me showing up with Adrienne Barbeau, belittling me and just being wasted.
Oh, the whole time. And can't wait to get other people wasted, like the young couple
mm-hmm.
that means nothing to us. She's like, they need to get a drink.
You better get a drink. What are you doing? Hey, stupid. I told you to get them to pull a car around. Yeah. You worthless piece of garbage.
She is
Who
so
works
mean to
here
her husband.
with these people?
Yeah. She tells him several times, too, where would you be without me?
Her husband's Hal Holbrook, which I just went into IMDb and I was like, okay, well, what do I know him from and everything like that? And he is still alive.
Oh.
And at 93, his last credit is 2018.
Wow.
He is still working.
That is a hard-working actor.
Yeah, definitely.
Wow.
And I don't know if you remember Adrienne Barbeau from Escape from New York.
Yes,
she was the lady in that who got crushed by cars. All right.
Who could forget?
So, yeah, she's screaming at him. She's hammered. Mm-hmm. She's just being aggravating. Everybody at this party is side-eyeing her and him.
Is this when so you had mentioned earlier that they have these little fantasies, right? In the Stephen King one he has. So he has some fantasies in this one about things he's going to do to his wife that obviously he doesn't really...
Yeah, just wife murder fantasies.
Yeah. Well, she is pretty horrible to him.
Just those harmless wife murder fantasies.
I like it. The first one is where he shoots her and everyone at the party is applauding. They're like...
One guy's like, that was a hell of a shot. Yeah. Bullseye.
Yeah, bullseye. I think it's the young guy that says it. Bullseye.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. I think he has another one shortly after where he's choking her with his necktie.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So while this is all happening, first of all, we get a weird kind of like backstory that comes into play with his professor buddy.
Yeah.
And his professor buddy's like talking to this young girl like, oh, you know what? You and I can work on this a little bit later on. And he seems like put out when Hal Holbrook walks over to him and interrupts this exchange with, I'm assuming, a student of his.
Right.
And that does kind of come up later, kind of. But then this guy gets a phone call from the janitor, and the janitor's like, hey, I found this crate. It says it's from 1834. It says it's an Arctic expedition on it. You might want to come over and check this out.
Seems like a pretty hot item. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we get to, for a movie for a segment that's sort of about Hal Holbrook and his horrible marriage.
Yeah.
There are long stretches where we don't see these two. We watch these guys pull this crate out in real time.
Yeah.
Like, in real time.
Yeah.
And that's when I was kind of like, am I watching like an unedited cut of this movie?
Yeah, I agree.
Because
This is where I was getting a little bit like...
could not have gone on for this long.
What's going on, guys? What's
and not
going
even
on?
we watch them drag it out from the steps, a long process, and then we have to watch them pry it open and take out every nail.
They do every one, and it takes so long for them just to open, and nothing is happening while they're opening it.
No.
There's no creepy noises or anything. They're just can't get the thing open. It's just going to take a minute. It reminded me of the crate in you know how in The Toy, Richard Pryor is delivered inside of a crate, and I don't know. I was hoping maybe Richard Pryor
possibly a better segment if Richard Pryor burst out of this thing, and then like Adrienne Barbeau just like really got, was really into him, and then they went off and got married, and Hal Holbrook was free.
Exactly.
The end.
That's how it should work out. I agree.
People will be like, "What the hell was that? That wasn't scary.
The hell?
That was just weird." So this is around the time where he does have the murder fantasy with the tie, and she's drunk going to her classes. I want to know what classes she's going to. So then we flash back. These guys are still opening this crate, but they hear a sound
coming from the inside of it,
and it sounds like a mogwai, like it sounds like Gizmo, like it's not a scary
sound. It's
sound.
very creaturey, yeah,
it's creaturey, but it's almost like purring in a weird way.
Yeah. But something's in there, and it's alive.
Right.
Yeah.
And the janitor shoves his arm in here for some reason. He sees the thing's eyes.
What
and he's like,
would make you want... And he puts his hand right in there. What would make you do that?
Oh, and he's even the one that was like, did you hear that? Did you feel this move? And he's the first one to be like, I'm going to stick my arm in this thing.
I don't need to know. I don't need to open it any further or flash a light in there or anything.
It's pretty funny, too, because he gets his arm stuck. The professor's trying to help him, like, pull his body out.
Yeah.
He falls down. The crate tips over, and it opens to reveal a guy in a monkey costume with a ton of teeth on this
Lots of sharp teeth.
Drags this custodian up and into this box.
Yes. Yeah.
And the professor is freaked out, and he runs away and finds a grad student who is not buying any of this.
No, he's like, what? What did you see?
I like it when the grad student walks down and like looks at the blood and looks over like, you killed him, didn't you? Because he does. He finally goes to check this out. Mm-hmm. Sees blood everywhere.
So much blood.
But they notice that the monster pushed the crate back under the stairs where he, I guess, feels very comfortable.
Yeah.
He's been there for what, like 140 years?
Oh yeah,
something like that.
So this is his area. He prefers it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So this grad student sees the foot.
Shoe. The foot inside the shoe.
It's like a foot inside a shoe, and he's like, "Oh, we got to check this for bite marks. I want to measure all this stuff."
Yeah.
And this is when he like crawls under the steps, but he's very wary of the box. He's like, "Okay, as long as the box doesn't open, I'll be fine."
Yeah.
Surprise! The thing was just like standing next to the box the whole time,
like waiting, right? Knowing that they were, and the monster thing, monkey suit thing, just kind of eats at his neck, right?
Takes a huge chunk out of his neck.
And then scratches his eyes out.
His one eye's like down about 5 inches,
busted.
popping out.
Yep. And now our other character can't. He doesn't know what to do. He's really panicked. He's seen 2 people killed now.
He goes to his buddy. We're back with Hal Holbrook. He goes to his friend's house and, recounts this tale. Like, he tells him all of this.
Yeah.
And Hal Holbrook is totally... he knows from the moment he probably said monster in a box, he knew what he was going to do. Because he drugs his friend, so this guy passes out, writes a note for his wife.
Oh, yeah. What a note, too. What a note.
What a great note. He knew how to get her to that school.
Yeah,
You write a saucy, juicy story,
Yep.
and she is all about it.
She can't help herself, right?
Yeah.
After class.
So he goes to this college, and he cleans everything up. Like, he mops
what
up
a
all
mess,
the blood.
too. Big mess. And as he's mopping, I thought, mops are not very efficient. Not these kind of mops.
No, they're not, because then the water's all bloody, and then you got to go in and dump
sop
that and refill it with clean water.
He needs a Swiffer is what he needs, but he doesn't have one because it's 1982.
Yeah, because this thing just ate 2 people. I couldn't imagine the amount of blood that's around here.
Yeah. But he does. He cleans it all up, right? And she reads this this tale he tells her about how his friend did something to a woman.
There must be some truth to this, because again, we saw this professor talking to this young girl at this party.
True,
he's like,
true.
Since his wife died, he's been all over these college students.
Yeah.
And, tonight things got a little bit out of control.
And she's so hook, line, and sinker. She's like, oh, what did he do?
She
what
is
do I
drooling
need
over
to
this
do?
note as she pours herself, Bloody Mary.
No, it's some kind
sort
of white liquid.
It's probably a White Russian again.
All right, fair enough. He does know how to make her, really entice her, too, because, again, through their whole, arguing, she's constantly telling him, you need me. What would you do without me?
Yeah.
And even in the letter, he says to her, I need you to come down here. What am I going to do without you to help me figure out what to do about this mess?
And even when she shows up, drink in hand again, she drove all the way there, drink in hand. He's even like, you're so much better in situations like this than I am.
Yeah.
And then he just starts laughing. Like, he can't even keep it together anymore.
No, because he's so giddy.
Hysterically.
He's like, you're about to die.
He's having so much fun.
And he's thinking he's not going to have to do it. Now, it is... So he tells her, the girl, she's under the stairs. That's where she is.
Making weird noises, and she won't come out.
And the wife is like, what did he do to her? What am I going to go into? When he gets her under the stairs, and she's kind of peering, and she's like, what? There's a box. He starts pushing her, and then they have this weird, aggressive row your boat thing that they do, because he's just, shaking her.
He is just continuously smashing her against this box.
And she's like, what is happening? And then the monster... Go ahead.
I'm just saying, the best part about it is, as he's doing this, she's not making a sound. It's not until he finishes that she goes, oh, that was great, Henry. That was great. And she's hitting him with her purse. And she says,
that was great.
Get out of my way, or you'll be wearing your balls for earrings.
Right, she does. So good. So good. And that's when she tells him that he's not good in bed. She lays some real low ones on him. And then it's like he prayed for it to happen. The monster does come out.
Yeah, because there really is a period where you think, oh, this monster's not going to eat her. It's probably full or something. It hasn't eaten in 150 years, and now it ate 2 humans?
Right, it needs to take a minute to settle its stomach.
Eat her.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
But no, of course, it pops out, and it grabs her, pulls her into this box.
Yeah.
And then we see him disposing of this box, but also hearing him tell his friend this. Because he went back to the house later.
Right.
And he told his friend what he did. Which was take this big crate, lock it up again, drive it out to this quarry, and push it off the cliff, and it sunk and went underwater. And his friend's like, oh, great, okay, you want to play chess? And so they play chess. And he's like, are you going to tell anybody? I'm not going to tell anybody. my thought is there's got to be some sort of crazy police investigation that these two are really going to have to
answer some questions.
Yes.
Yeah.
His wife, who everybody watched belittle him at this party, is suddenly
now missing. Yeah.
2 people working at that college, gone.
Yeah.
Just gone.
Dateline's definitely going to do a story about this. Like, there's an investigation that's going to go down.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, remember when your assistant or your secretary came out at that party and told you that the janitor was calling you for some reason?
Right.
Well, have you seen him? Because we haven't seen him in a long time.
We haven't seen the janitor since.
You were the last person he called. Like, these 2 guys are totally screwed.
It's all right, though. He's without his wife. He couldn't be happier at this
point.
He'd
be pleased as punch to go to prison. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So then at the very end, we see like this crate at the bottom of this quarry like break open, and I guess the monster has escaped.
He survived. Dun dun dun.
The end.
So scary.
The end.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Now we're in our last.
The final one. And as I said, getting through these now, this last one, there was definitely some fun parts. There was definitely some parts I enjoyed, but there was definitely some longer parts.
I think this is my least favorite.
Yeah.
This is the one that I did not remember. Like, by the time we got here, halfway through, I went, I'm not sure that I ever actually watched this story.
And what's happening exactly? So
that's a good question.
Yeah. This man, so this one's called They're Creeping Up on You.
Yes.
Uh-huh. And there's a man, there's a giant jukebox, like an old-timey jukebox. Mm-hmm. There's a man, and it's just this one guy. Well, no, there's a couple. There's the exterminator, and he gets a phone call from someone. But it's basically him in this room. He starts out cleaning the floor, getting a bug off the floor, spraying a bug.
Yeah, and again, like, I was waiting for the big reveal to be that none of this is real. He's in a mental hospital.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
He's just a crazy dude. And, like, that guy that showed up earlier...
It's like an orderly. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And that's not the reveal... Because nothing about this, like, most of the time I sat there going, are we in the future? This is the future,
yeah, because
right?
I don't understand what he's doing. So he's in a very white room, a very sterile room, and he's in front of a computer, and he's obviously a very powerful man. He too, like a lot of these lead characters are jerks, right? So he's like a jerk.
He's a great jerk. I will give this guy credit for just being a great jerk, because I said there are no F-bombs in this movie. This is all F-bombs.
Oh, yeah,
wall
he does.
to wall.
Uh-huh. And he's got some foul language. Who does he talk to in the beginning that he tells him, wear a rubber because everyone has herpes?
Oh, that guy. I don't know. It's just some guy who I guess it's an employee.
Oh, but what does he do?
I don't know, because he just gives him information. He's like, oh, this guy you didn't like that owned, I guess, part of the company, like, he's dead. And he tells him, he's like, thanks, now go out and fuck somebody, but wear a damn rubber.
Yeah.
Everybody's got herpes these
Everybody's
days.
got herpes. Everybody does, right? He seems to be somewhat of a germaphobe, obviously, right?
Right, yes.
Hates
and I guess
bugs.
he owns this building?
I didn't follow.
I don't
He's
know.
had someone killed?
I don't think he killed him. I think it's the guy's wife seems to think that, but it seems as though whoever this person is just died from natural causes, but basically, like, this guy was so terrible to him and, caused him through stress to die. I think. But again, like, I'm just asking questions because I don't really know.
Yeah, I didn't follow. I do know that this guy is obsessed with the cockroaches and obsessed with the bugs.
Of course,
and they just, of course.
What is this computer that he's sitting at? Like, what is
I don't know. And what's this? He's got that weird, like,
it's like a weird suction
garbage
can.
Yeah, that he dumps things in, and like you said, maybe it's the future. I'm not sure.
It's strangely sterile. Everything's white. The only bit of color is that jukebox, because he loves his big band music.
Boy,
he loves that stuff.
Oh boy, does he!
I don't know what's going on in this story.
The bug guy comes, but why doesn't he let the bug guy in?
No, the bug guy doesn't come. This is just a guy that, he's like the super of the building or whatever. Because he's like, I'll go call those bug people when I'm finished fixing this shower.
Right.
And he gets a little racist with him, with this guy.
Oh, yeah, because he's a black guy.
And that's when I was like, oh, is this the only black person that's been in this movie?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it's the one and only. Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Bugs just keep coming.
Bugs just, that's
of all
the story.
different.
Yes. He's eating bugs at one point. He's eating some gross pureed cereal, which I didn't understand.
No, it was like oatmeal or something? I don't know.
It was like, it was pureed, and then he went to the cereal box and dumped out a bunch of bugs. So I don't know if he was like pouring cereal in this. I don't know what's going on in this.
No.
If what he's eating confuses me, like his whole thing's confusing.
Yeah.
I do like when the lady calls him up just to say, "I can't wait till you die."
Oh yeah. People just don't, and he could care less. He's like,
No, he's laughing the whole time.
Yeah, he's obviously, again, a jerk. These bugs are they just keep appearing more and more.
I don't know how much detail we need to get into, because that is what this is.
That's all it is.
More and more bugs comes. Mm-hmm. He squashes them. He stomps on them. He sprays them. And finally, it's just too much. The lights go out. The bugs are pouring out of the vents and out of
so many of them.
Drain. Mm-hmm. He locks himself in like a little safe room that I guess is his bedroom.
Oh.
Because doesn't he pull back that blanket, and I guess that's his bed?
Yeah.
And he pulls back the blanket, and it's just cockroaches. It's just they're covered in cockroaches.
They take over. Yeah, it's an infestation, and they eat him, basically.
At the end, we see his dead body, or a dummy that looks like him.
Right. Very terrible dummy, yeah. And they're coming out of all parts of him.
They start pouring out of his mouth and then, like, burst out of his chest.
Out of his eyeball sockets.
And that's kind of the end. Like, I mean, I don't think we need to get into much detail, because there's not much in this one.
And again, like, what is happening? What's going on? Yeah. They could have had 4, not 5, and I would have been okay with it.
Right. And it's a shame, too, or they could have buried this one in the middle. Like, I feel like you need to come out strong, and you need to end strong.
Yeah, and they could have ended with that, even though it was lengthy. They could have ended with that. Although I do like how they wrapped it up for us. I do like when they kind of bookended it with, now we see these 2 garbage men who find a comic book in the trash, and they're like flipping
so much
through
fun.
it. Right.
They're yelling at their garbage truck.
They're so excited to find it. And they're like, oh, yeah, this is great. And they find a coupon missing for a voodoo doll, right?
Oh, the one guy's like bummed out. Oh, man, somebody already sent away for this.
Yeah. And now we go back to the dad and the mom from our beginning. Mm-hmm. And the dad is still cranky, and he hasn't had a good night's sleep. And the mom's like ironing doilies. I don't know. And
what she's doing. Trying not to get hit, I think. Yeah.
And the dad's just like, he didn't sleep good. He's got a crick in his neck. And she's like, oh, I don't know. What do you need, babe? Maybe you need to go back to bed. And suddenly we see the kid upstairs. And this kid's he's got the voodoo doll, and he's doing a little voodoo magic on his pappy, and I guess kills him, because downstairs the dad's like choking and grabbing at parts of his body. No!
And he's just stabbing the hell out of this thing with a needle.
He's going down.
And that is it. That is how Creepshow ends.
That's the end of the Creepshow. Creepshow 1, that is.
Yeah,
the original.
That's how our 4th, if we include Cat's Eye, and of course we should. That's how our 4th Stephen King movie ends.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I can probably tell how you feel about this, but why don't you tell us?
Oh, I liked it. I'm always surprised to enjoy these kind of movies. I really liked the little stories, how that was set up, because even though I had stories that maybe moved a little slower, I didn't love as much. It was really fun. I liked the way it was done, comic book style. I liked Stephen King's little Moss Man performance. I really enjoyed it. And you now must have always, love. Yeah.
I love it. I'm not saying we haven't watched fun Stephen King movies, and I'm not saying
this is a definite fun. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not saying we're not going to get to ones that are more fun, but I really enjoy this movie.
Yeah.
I really do. Like, this is just visually it's fun.
Yep.
And some anthology movies are good, others aren't.
Yeah.
This one, 5 stories. I mean, you're not stuck with anything too long, even if you're not crazy about it. So it moved quickly. Mm-hmm. It was super enjoyable. I love it. Yeah, this is great.
What do you recommend? You said you almost switched up your recommendation.
I almost switched it up. And this is just so lightly related to that bug one.
Okay.
but it's the movie Safe from 1995. I don't know if you saw it, starring Julianne Moore.
No.
It's a Todd Haynes movie. He won an Academy Award for Carol.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So this is an earlier movie, and it's about Julianne Moore as a woman who she develops like a strange illness, and nobody can really figure out what's wrong with her. Like doctors can't figure it out, stuff like that. And she is told by somebody that she just has an environmental allergy and is just allergic to everything. Allergic to exhaust, allergic to just air in general. And
so she's got to keep herself safe?
Yeah, for people that have seen this, I'm kind of butchering it because I'm really simplifying it. But then she just, through the movie, she becomes, more and more, increasingly reclusive. Okay. And eventually, isolating herself from her family and everything. Okay. And just being kind of alone in, a weird little
Does she have a jukebox?
Room at the... She does not have a jukebox in this movie. I was thinking about... I was like... What is this missing? And then I saw the bug thing, and I went, "Yep, a jukebox."
The jukebox, yeah.
Yeah. So that's my recommendation.
Sounds like a good one. I like it.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you?
I went with a Ted Danson show that I think a while back I told you to watch, and I think you did, and I don't know if you liked it or not. From 2009 to 2011, there was that show Bored to Death with Jason Schwartzman, and Zach Galifianakis. Yeah, it's a really fun show where he pretends to be a private detective. He's a writer, Jason Schwartzman
not Ted
is.
Danson.
No,
okay.
Jason Schwartzman is. And he pretends to be a private detective, and Ted Danson is like his boss. Not his detective boss, his literary boss, I guess. And it's really a fun show. I really like Jason Schwartzman, and Ted Danson's really fun in it, and it's kind of, I guess, a little bit of that comic booky. Because he's a private detective based off of old detective stories. He uses those sort of skills when he does his investigating.
It is fun. That's such
a very fun.
And I will second this recommendation and say I think you're right. It's only 3 seasons. It's only 10 episodes a season. You can watch the whole thing in the weekend, and it's definitely worth it.
I agree. Yeah.
All right.
All right. So there you go. There's another Stephen King in the books. Creepshow, which I think is a pretty, I mean, again, this is not, I'm new to this genre, but from what I understand, this is one of those that people like and enjoy.
Yes.
That enjoy Stephen King's, that enjoy, and I can see why.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's so tough because what we do here is so different than just people that sit down and watch movies, because I don't think a whole lot of people sit down and go, you know what, that Silver Bullet, that's the tops. For us it was.
Cat's Eye, though, was pretty
just
good,
because
too.
what we got to do.
Yeah.
But no, if you're talking about legitimate Stephen King movies that people like, this is certainly one of them.
Yeah.
And I think for our next one, we're going to do another one of those that people legitimately like. Because I don't know if you're all about creepy kids, but we're going to watch a creepy kid and a creepy cat because we're going to watch Pet Sematary.
What is this place?
I brought you here to bury Alan's cat.
Daddy, is church all right?
Why, Judd?
I had my reasons.
I dreamed he got hit by a car and you and Mr. Crandall buried him in the pet cemetery.
What did we do tonight, Judd?
What we did, Lois, was a secret.
May the Lord bless you and keep you.
Has anyone ever buried a person up there?
May the Lord make his face to shine upon you.
You're thinking thoughts best not thought of.
Daddy's gonna do something really bad.
You're thinking of putting him up there. Don't deny the thought hadn't crossed your mind.
Come back to me, Gage. Come back to us.
Paramount Pictures presents Stephen King's all-time best-selling tale of horror. Pet Sematary.
And what was great about this is in the book, the kids make the Pet Sematary, so they spell the word cemetery wrong. So, of course, Stephen King called the book Pet Sematary, but wrote it the wrong way.
Of course.
So when I put this onto Twitter for people to vote on, Twitter autocorrected, and I didn't notice. It said Pet Seminary. And it, in a landslide, this one. So I'm hoping people don't think there's this 80s movie that nobody's ever heard of and we're really going to get into something strange. No, it's Pet Cemetery. So sorry if you're...
Pets at seminary school.
Pet Seminary. And then somebody posted a picture of like a cat dressed as a priest underneath. And I went, what? Why is this? And it took me a while to actually see the misspelling.
Oh, because you see it in your head in one way. Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what we're going to do. And it's weird to say that that's our last October movie. Like, it's weird to say that we're recording this on October 2nd.
Yeah.
But yes, so that'll be the last one. So thank you, everybody. Thank you so much for listening.
Always. Thanks for listening. Thank you, Stephen King, for making these
Thank you for wearing overalls. Thank you for crossing your eyes so much.
Thanks for crossing your eyes so well.
Yeah, you really made that character come to life.
No, really. Thank you to our listeners always, and we won't see you next time.
We never do.
No, but you'll hear us, and we'll be there
as we get closer to Halloween.
Yeah,
we'll be talking about Pet Sematary. So go out, watch Pet Sematary. Anyway, as I was saying, tell people about the show. It's the only way word gets out. Like, we don't pay to advertise stuff like that. So tell people about the show.
They'll enjoy it.
Yeah, they should. Why not? This is fun.
Oh. And think about being a patron, because we need one more, and then we're stretching.
One more. Or if you're a current patron, you know you can up that donation. And if you go to $15, you get to force us to watch a movie of your choice and talk about it every year.
I'd be thrilled to do it.
And we got one of those coming.
Buying real estate in a college town is a friggin' pain in the ass. You take my word for it.
I'm hydrating first.
Sure.
Okay.
Wow. All right.
It's sparkling water because I have the burps, So
so why would you drink something carbonated?
Because it got to help you burp. Because I got the gassy feeling,
I get it. Okay.
And you need the sparkly water to help encourage the burps.
All right. You're not just trying to push it lower. I don't know what you would drink for that, like cement or something.